Welcome. Today I'll show you how you can use Desmos to calculate mean and standard deviation. The first thing we need to do is we need to tell Desmos our list of numbers that we're working with. There's two different ways that you can do that. The first way is to create an actual list. To do this, we use the capital L. We need to give it a number. So if you type a number, it will immediately put it in the subscript. So we could call it L1. We'll say an equal sign, use the square brackets, and then we just start listing the numbers. So let's say we have 2, 3, 3, 5, 6, 7, 7, 7, and 10. So we can see that we have 9 numbers in this list. We did not have to type them in order from smallest to greatest. That was just the way that I came up with the numbers. The other way that we could tell Desmos the numbers we're working with is to put in a table. To add a table, you click the plus button in the upper left corner, select a table, and this first table that pops up will have auto-named column headers. They'll usually be X1, Y1, or X2, Y2, something like that. It doesn't really matter what the header is. We just need to go ahead and enter in the data. So using the same numbers from there, I have 2, 3, 3, 5, 6, 7, 7, 7, and 10. We're not going to enter anything into the Y2 column because we're only working with one data set for this. Now we need to go to an empty part of the calculator, so we can just click below. And we're going to go to our keypad. So the keypad is in the bottom left corner. We've used this a little bit already in class, usually just for inequality signs. Today we're going to need to access something a little more complicated, and it's going to be hidden under the functions. So if we go here, you'll notice that there's this long list of different things. They are categorized, and some of them may look familiar. A lot of them will look brand new. So we want to go to the statistics section. So here we can see we have a list of different options to choose from. A lot of these should look familiar: mean, median, min, max. Those are all things that we've already been talking about. Quartiles and quantiles have to do with percentiles. STDev and STDevP are two different types of standard deviations. And then the other ones that we are going to care about is stats, length, and total. So to get started, we're going to pick whatever we want Desmos to calculate for us. So let's say we want to start with the mean. I select the mean, it automatically shows up here, and there's an open parentheses. In here, I need to tell Desmos which numbers we're going to be using. I have two ways that I could name this. I could name it using the column header from our table, X2, or I could use the name of the list, L1. So if I wanted to do X2, I type in X2, and it tells me what my mean is. I could double check by using the L1, and if I type in mean parentheses, or I could go back and select it from the functions. If I say L1, sure enough, I end up with the same mean. Now, to continue this process, you again would open functions, scroll down, you could ask it to tell us the median, which again, you would just say the name of your list, and it'll automatically do the math for you. Now, for standard deviation, it's a little tricky because we have two options to choose from. In our class, we're always going to want to choose STDevP. The P stands for population, which means that there's going to be a slight change in the formula that we use. Trust me, we're going to want to always select STDevP in this class. So we select it. Again, we just need to tell it the name of our list of numbers. So you could use L1 for the list, or you could use X2, since they both mean the same thing. And here it immediately told us our standard deviation. If you tried the other standard deviation, STDev, you'll notice that you get a value similar, but it's a little different. That's because there's a slight change in the formula that Desmos uses to calculate standard deviation. So we are always going to want to choose STDevP. The last thing I wanted to show you is a way to get a summary of information. If you want the minimum, maximum, and quartiles, Q1, Q2, Q3, you could select minimum and maximum and quartile, quartile, quartile. But the faster option is to select stats. If you select stats and tell it the list that you want, it will immediately tell you all of those 5 pieces of information: the minimum, Q1, median, or Q2, Q3, and the maximum. So this is a very helpful way to immediately get a lot of information. If you do decide that you want to find the quartiles on your own using the quartile function, there is one extra step that you need to do. We'll select quartile. And if you hover over this warning sign, it says it requires 2 arguments. So that means we're still going to need to tell it the list. So X2 or L1 or whatever you named your list. We'll also need to put in a comma and then tell it which quartile we want. Do we want the first quartile, the second quartile, or the third quartile? So if I want the first quartile, I say 1, and you'll notice we get 3, which is exactly what we got for Q3. If I wanted the second quartile or the median, that's 6. And if I wanted the third quartile, it would be 7. So quartile has an extra piece of information you need to provide, but other than that, it's exactly the same process as what you use to calculate any of these other values. I hope this helps and at least saves you a little bit of time on tonight's homework assignment.